Yo, welcome back to another Pokemon Scarlet Violet VGC video. I'm your host, Jose Rocks, and today we're going to be looking at some tournament results. So Regulation I has officially been announced. It's been about maybe 6 days, 7 days now that it's been announced. And you know that once the new format is announced, we're gonna have a lot of tournaments with the new format, right? So I just want to make a quick video looking at through some of the teams and seeing, some of the unique teams and what we can kind of expect this format to look like. So if you guys don't know what this website is, it's called play.limitedtcg.com. And pretty much what you want to do is you want to click the tournaments tab. You can make you a profile, right? And you want to change your preferences to VGC if you're a VGC player or whatever type of player that you pretty much the type of games that you like to play, right? I'm a VGC player, so I like to do mine under the VGC. And you can see the current tournaments. You can sign up to play in tournaments. They let you know what the rule set is going to be and stuff like that. And it's just really good practice. If you didn't know about this, for people who want to go to regionals or just get better at the online ladder, these is a good place to test teams out, and they let you know whether it's like best of 1 or best of 3, stuff like that, right? So it's a really cool website to host tournaments, but it also shows tournament results if you scroll down to the past 7 days, and you can see like a plethora of tournaments that have already taken place. It's literally a tournament every single day, right? So there's always opportunity for you to play in something if you're just looking to get more competitive play in with a little bit more stakes involved. And some of the prizes pools have money in it. Like if you look at some of them, like this one was a $50 win tournament. Like if you win, you get $50. So it's just some instances where you're able to win some money from winning the tournament. Others has other little prizes too. So just keep that in mind. I want to start from the top. Mono Series Volume 4. I don't think this is anything related to VGC really. But I do know the Wide League Saturday Rumble. This is rare, guys. So this is a 79 player tournament, and this is actually the winner right here. But you want to kind of look at the tournaments based on the amount of participants, because that can kind of give you a good gauge of how the format's going to turn out, because you get to see a lot of different consistency throughout the tournament, right? So we're going to click on this, and what? What? So our first winner for the first tournament I clicked is a Terapagos and Ho-Oh team. So just to give you a breakdown, if you guys don't already know what this looks like, the winner will be at the top right here. This will show you his record that he got for when he played in the tournament, and here's the team. And then if you want to see the specific moves and Terra types on the team, you want to click this right here, right? And so we're gonna go over to his team, and okay, so he's a leftovers substitute set. He doesn't even have Calm Mind, so he's not really focused on setting up, but he can set up a substitute so that he can get around a major fighting type attack and heal back with Rillaboom, leftovers, and grassy terrain. You can heal once you get your sub up, and then when that turn ends, you heal, and then you protect, and then heal again. You heal off the substitute HP that you took, right? It only takes 2 turns. You can do that with protect, so that's really cool. Usually when you see substitute on Terapagos instead of Earth Power, they have something like Calm Mind, but this one isn't focused on setting up. So the Ho-Oh also doesn't have any damage boosting items. It's just gonna be Citrus Berry, Sacred Fire, Brave Bird, and Tailwind, so it can be intimidated, which is interesting. We have a Focus Ash, Urshifu, no damage boosting item or damage boosting Terra type, so he doesn't have any damage boosting potential here with his main 3, what I would consider his top 3 sweepers that are going to be getting the most KOs, which is really interesting, right? So now we're going to get down to the support mons. Rillaboom, Terra Fire, defensive, so he really is going all in on the defensive terrors, right? Toxapex, while this is an offensive terror, it doesn't have any poison type attacks, right? So it does drop its water typing to just become pure poison, and it just wants to it's a wide guard user, so it protects its team with wide guard. Baneful Bunker can poison things, as well as Toxic Spice poison things in back, and then Infestation, so it's kind of a stall. I would guess Toxapex seems like an in-game win con, but with Toxic Spikes, you probably want to lead it so you get the spikes up early, right? So it's an interesting pick. Mental Herb, so it can't be taunted. Will has to be taunted twice, so you get around the taunt once. And then support Flutter Mane with Icy Wind and Thunder Wave, Moonblast. Normal Terror to help you with the Calyrex Shadow matchup. So this is interesting. So he does have consistent damage with Terra Starstorm and Wicked Blow, but he's not really picking up one-hit KOs on anything. So I misread to see if this player recorded his run and to see, you know, how his matches went. So we can click right here to see what he played against. He beat Terapagos and Koraidon team, which was probably the second placing team. He beat a Calyrex Shadow and Zamazenta team, which is really impressive. Koraidon, Calyrex Shadow, and he also beat Miraidon plus Ice Rider. So a lot of people are saying that, oh, we in another restricted format and things are gonna look the same. Everybody's gonna be using Calyrex Shadow plus Zamazenta, and you look at just the teams he played in the top cut, like none of them had the same restricteds. Like it's gonna be so much variety because I think that the pool has a lot of different viable restricteds, and you can mix and match them in so many different ways. I literally think every restricted could play with every restricted except for something like, you know, Double Dog. That might be a little redundant, but if you want to use Double Dragon with Koraidon, Miraidon, that can work, right? If you want to use Groudon, Koraidon, that can work, right? You got your Sun in the beginning, and then you got Sun that can come in the back to remove any rain that someone might set up, right? So it's really cool that Koraidon also gets a lot of help from Groudon when people want to take away Koraidon's damage output by removing the Sun. So that's also really cool, right? Against Terapagos, you could protect, let Terapagos take away your Sun, then switch in Groudon and get your Sun back, and then you're able to get that damage boost again. So it's really cool that so many different restricteds are able to play together. So I don't think that it's gonna be as redundant as you think. And then there's also a lot of viable support mons now this time around in this restricted format, because we have things like Chien-Pao, well, not support, but I would say non-restricted. Like Chien-Pao and Chiyu already shake up, you know, the field. Then you got Flutter Mane, Raging Bolt. These are all very consistent new Gen 9 Pokemon that we didn't have in Gen 8 or previous restricted, double restricted formats that, you know, are viable and switch it up. And how can I forget Frigoraph, Iron Hands, and Ogerpon, also Gen 9 Pokemon that are really good, that, you know, mix up the field of non-restricted Pokemon. So, of course, we know Rillaboom, Incineroar, Whimsicott, Urshifu, Tornadus, Grimmsnarl. We know they're going to be there, Amoonguss, right? But there's a huge field of a lot of versatility, right? And I'm just looking down this, I don't see any teams that are the same. Now, I am seeing another Calyrex Shadow, Zamazenta team, Miraidon, Ice Rider team. But I'm talking about just what he played in Top Cut, right? But even these teams are different enough to where they don't feel the same, right? Like this player, he doesn't have Tailwind, but this Zamazenta Calyrex Shadow player does have Tailwind, right? So he's opting for more, you know, what is he? The defensive backbone, which got him further, and this one's opting for more offense, right? So there's a lot of different ways that people can run. Here's Swordfish right here, which is really interesting. I'm just looking at the opponents he played, because since he's the winner of the tournament, we might as well look at what he went through. Here's the Aura Mega, or Luca Cherubelli, you know, world's winning team, and it looks like he subbed out what is usually in this slot, the Whimsicott. So he got rid of his speed control to go with Ice Rider. Well, I guess Ice Rider offers Trick Room speed control, right? So instead of playing like the Tailwind mode, he has the Trick Room option with these two, and then you can just play these three. Like that's a core, and then you have Miraidon, just your other restricted, to come out after Trick Room is over. So that also can be really good, and it's really interesting. This is Miraidon Lunala. I haven't seen that combo yet. Lunala Koraidon, that's the combo that I'm working on in the team builder. So this is really cool. And then Miraidon Zamazenta, Zacian. And this is another kind of similar to our Mega's team. He has the Incineroar instead of the Iron Hands, right? And then he has the Zacian over the Frigoraph, right? So that's also really interesting. But let's get back to the main list. So this is the second placing team. He also had Terapagos and Koraidon. So Terapagos first and second in a big tournament like this. That's very interesting. Now this one has the calm mindset with Flamethrower, which is really cool because you can use Flamethrower in the sun, and get more damage from it, right? He went back to the clear amulet, moved away from the life orb. And then this is just really bulky. With Calm Mind and screens, like his Terapagos, unless you have Zamazenta or Koraidon, it's going to be really hard to move. And I can see this team being really annoying for Calyrex Shadow, right? Because Incineroar, Grimmsnarl lead, it's hard for Calyrex Shadow to break. And then once screens are up and like things are getting Spirit broken to and Parting Shotted and Intimidated, and then you just bring in Terapagos and it just sets up. And then you got Koraidon, which under screens can take, you know, 2 or 3 hits, and it's dealing massive amounts of damage back. The same thing with Raging Bolt. And then Amoonguss just for support. And it's really good to, it's really hard to remove behind screens. And with the Rocky Helmet, this team, I see this team like being really good and really annoying for a lot of opponents, right? So that's really cool. Third place, that's the Aramega team that we talked about with the Calyrex Shadow. Yep, pretty much similar thing, all same sets. This is Terra Water, but still with the, it doesn't have a Psychic type move though, so it's Imprison to stop opposing Trick Room from being reversed or set up. And Urshifu Dark instead of Urshifu Water, but it's still pretty interesting. Same concept, just with the Ice Rider instead of the Whimsicott. And he went 9-1, so that's still a good record. Here's the first Calyrex Shadow team. Let's see what he's cooking with. Stellar Terra Focus Sash Chien-Pao, which is really cool. Life Orb Calyrex. Now, Life Orb Calyrex is cool. He does have a substitute, but I kind of like, my favorite Calyrex Shadow to use is Focus Sash, right? I like to be able to play risky with Calyrex and just sit in front of things that expect to one-shot me and not have to Terra, but with the Focus Sash, you survive major hits, right? I just feel like with Calyrex, like it's so prone on best of one ladder to getting a tech, dark type, or ghost type move hitting it, and you know, kind of just losing your restricted for nothing. So for me, Focus Sash is always like my favorite item. But I have been playing with like a Life Orb Nicely Plot set with like, you know, double redirection and fake out support, which can also be really cool from, in my opinion. This of course is core of Urshifu, Water, Incineroar, Rillaboom. Can't go wrong with that core. And then you got the Zamazenta with Wide Guard. This looks like a pretty consistent team. I would say the core of Urshifu, Zamazenta, Rillaboom, Calyrex, and Incineroar, you're gonna see a lot, and then the deviation is gonna be what's in that 6 slot, and this one is using Chien-Pao, right? But you may see things like Raging Bolt there, you may see things like a Chi-Yu there, you may see things like a Fluttermane there, you may see things like a Tornadus there, a Whimsicott there. It'll be a lot of variation on that 6 slot, but I do think that the rest of the 6 are really consistent. And if you want to like just get in the reg eye and just get something that you feel like you want to practice with that can be decently consistent, I would say use a core like this. I would drop the Chien-Pao for something else, because I think that Focus Sash really needs to be on Calyrex Shadow, because with this team, without having redirection, Calyrex Shadow is really prone to getting one shot. And you have to go for the Grass Terror just in order to survive a major hit. And sometimes you might want to use that Terror somewhere else, right? So I would say this 5 is consistent using these 5, but give the Focus Sash to your Calyrex and then have some variation with your 6 slot, right? And I think that you can find a lot of success early on in the format and just learning kind of like how Regulation I is going to play. All right, so we have, and look, this is like, this top 5. Before we get another similar duo, the top 5 teams have none of the same duos, right? So now we're going to Koraidon Calyrex Shadow, which is really cool, because things that want to become immune to fighting type coverage, they just get hit with Astral Barrage. So these two are going to be a really crazy duo. You have Chi-Yu that can take advantage of the sun. Flutter is good in the sun. You have Weezing shutting off opposing abilities that can be really solid. This team really resembles the Calyrex Shadow Weezing team without Dondozo that had Iron Hands and like Dragonite Chien-Pao. It's very similar to like that type of team, but this is an offensive Flutter. Instead of choice specs, you have Life Orb, which offers a similar damage output. Just it's not as much, but it does offer you the flexibility to be able to protect and switch your moves. And it's still normal Terra to give you a Calyrex Shadow opposing matchup. So these two, Chi-Yu and Flutter with normal Terra, can just sit in front of opposing Calyrex Shadow, right? Which is really solid. And there's that Focus Sash that I was telling you about. This player is running Encore instead, which can punish a lot of people playing passive in front of this team. which this team with this core of Koraidon, Shadow Rider, Fluttermane, and Chi-Yu, plus Fake Out here, can force a lot of protects, which you can punish with the Encore, right? Which is really cool. And then Weezing has Taunt. Not really sure about this, the Toxic Spikes. There's not a lot of things on his team that really want to be bulky and stick around enough for the poison to tick them out. But it can like help break focus sashes and stuff from things in the back, so it can be valuable in that sense. But you're gonna have to be leading your Weezing in order to get value from that move. All right, so this is another Zamazenta Calyrex Shadow team. Let's take a look. Double Grass, so he has Whimsicott plus Amoonguss, which is interesting. Usually you'll see like Whimsicott Rillaboom or Amoonguss Rillaboom, right? But these two as your two grass is interesting, but it still has the Fire Water Grass core with Urshifu and Incineroar, and then it's just Zamazenta and the Calyrex. For some reason, this team reminds me, I just feel like it probably plays a lot similar to the team that won Worlds in 2022, but this was a Zacian, right? You have Urshifu, Incineroar, then you had like a Rillaboom here, and then this slot is instead of Whimsicott for speed control, you had Thundurus, right? That could go for a max airstream to give that team speed control. So it's really cool. I feel like it's a similar concept. I feel like it is strong, but of course without the Focus Sash here, like I just feel like non-Focus Sash Calyrex in double restricted format, like it's just too easy to like get surprise KO'd. But he does have redirection, so I give him that. If you are going to use Calyrex without a Focus Sash, you need to have redirection, right? You need to have Fake Out plus redirection, because you want to make sure that you're supporting that Calyrex and that it doesn't just get one shot by a random tech move or like a random sucker punch from like a Grimmsnarl that you're on best of one ladder, and Grimmsnarl usually doesn't run sucker punch, and then it just sucker punch your Calyrex and you kind of like lose the game from there. So that's why, in my opinion, I think the Focus Sash is good, but he does have Amoonguss for redirection. But how do you get around a Grass Terror, right? Which can be kind of annoying too. So next we have, I'm a huge fan of Hisuian Lilligant. This is Groudon Miraidon. I haven't seen this combo. I was speaking about it in my ranking video that somebody was gonna try to go with the Discharge Electric Terror with Groudon, because it's really cool. Because if you think Rillaboom wants to come out and remove Miraidon's terrain, but then it's really threatened by Heat Crash from Groudon plus Terra Fire Groudon. Like Rillaboom, Groudon going for Terra Fire and this thing just clicking like Electro Drift or Volt Switch is really hard for Rillaboom to deal with that duo. And then if you don't Terra, you got the Ground Terra, and you're able to go for Electric Terra here. You got the Ground type and Electric Terra here, and you get those Discharge off, which is really cool. Looks like he can only Discharge next to Groudon and Flutter. So that's something that when you have a strategy like this and you're hitting your teammates, I feel like at least 4 out of the 5 teammates that a Miraidon with Discharge or Parabolic Charge has, they need to be either have Protect so they can block the move hitting you, or be immune to it by being a ground type, or take resisted damage, right? This is a Focus Sash Lilligant, so even though you're taking resisted damage, it's still really not resisted. You're going to be brought down to your Sash or pretty close to it, and then you have a potential to paralyze yourself. Like if you get locked into it, you're going to be paralyzing, losing your Scarf, making Frigoraph unable to move, and paralyzing your Lilligant, losing its Chlorophyll speed boost, right? So in my opinion, I think I would want to see like Ground Terror Chi-Yu here. Ground Terror Chi-Yu next to this can like deal massive damage, right? And it helps you against the opposing Miraidon matchup if you don't have your Groudon on the field. It does have Protect, so he has 2 Protects here. So really the only things that can get hit by it are Lilligant and Chi-Yu. So I guess he has 3 Pokemon he can Discharge next to. But I think that, in my opinion, like the Miraidon team I built Parabolic Charge, everything can dodge the Parabolic Charge, right? And for this team, like you can't click it if you got like Chi-Yu or Lilligant in the back and you think your teammate next to Groudon might go down. You'll be in a really bad spot. But it's a really cool team. He went 6-3, so I would guess he probably lost in some positions where he wasn't able to really get Discharge off successfully. And the Helping Hand on Groudon is really cool tech. It's something that I really wanted to use on Groudon back in Regulation G when it first dropped. And like I was just thinking of Helping Hand Groudon next to Fire Terra Chiyu with Rigraff threatening a Switch Hand in the back just seemed extremely threatening to me. But on this team, he has the option of Helping Hand Discharge. He has a Helping Hand Heat Wave with Chiyu, and it can't be faked out because you can Ghost Terra with Chiyu, and Helping Hand has priority over Fake Out. So Helping Hand will go first before because like +5 priority. You'll Helping Hand, and then you'll Ghost Terra Chiyu, and then just deal massive damage with a Heat Wave. So that's really cool. Flutter also offering speed control. I wonder how much speed investment he has on Groudon, if he's able to outspeed everything at +1, or because he doesn't have Tailwind, right? So I would guess he has a little bit more speed on Groudon, so he doesn't have to Icy Wind twice. But that's interesting. And Lilligant's also really solid. Solar Blade instead of Leaf Blade is going to be dealing massive damage in the sun. Close combat is a very powerful fighting type move. Sleep Powder gives you the variance in case you need it, which is kind of redundant though, since he has Miraidon here. That's interesting. I didn't even consider that till just looking at it, right? After You is cool because you can just go for After You Precipice Blades and make Groudon move first, but I think I would like to see Encore Protect here, right? I don't think After You is necessary because you already have really fast Pokemon, and I think Groudon doesn't necessarily always need to move first to be effective. So with this Lilligant set, I would like to see Protect and Encore, right? That way you're able to discharge next to yourself, and Encore can, with you being really fast and threatening a lot of different damage, people like to Protect in front of you, then you can punish them with Encore. So I would like to see that over these two. But I can see what my opponent is going for if you just don't have your Miraidon out, and then you go for the Sleep Powder shenanigans. But really cool team. Let's get into the next one. All right, so we're probably just gonna go through the top 10 teams for this one. This is Swordfish. We know this has been good since Sword and Shield. This looks like a Sword and Shield team, and instead of something like the Incineroar or Among Us, you got the Chien-Pao there. Yeah, because I've seen this exact team in Sword and Shield a lot in Regulation 12. I mean, Series 12, I should say, where instead of Chien-Pao, because it didn't exist yet, you had the Among Us on this team that gave you like a Trick Room option to help you against the Calyrex Shadow matchup, gave you Spore, and then you had these other ones. Urshifu is usually like Focus Sash on those teams too. But then you got the Assault Vest, Rilla. Those teams were really weak to Calyrex Ice, but you had a lot of counterplay into it because Kyogre resists Calyrex Ice, Among Us underspeeds Calyrex Ice, and Zacian resists Calyrex Ice and usually will carry Substitute, so that you can Substitute turn 1, Protect, attack, let them break your Substitute, and then Protect again, and then Trick Room will be over, right? So that was also a really cool way of stalling out Trick Room with this team and not losing too many resources. So it's interesting to see that core bringing brought back, but this time it's the Chien-Pao, and you see the Focus Sash is here. That's why there's no Focus Sash on the Urshifu variant, but I do think that that variant with Urshifu, Focus Sash, and Protect or Detect was a really solid, consistent team. And I love Kyogre. All right, so we have our third Calyrex, Shadow, and Zamazenta team. So there's been 3 so far in the top 10, and the rest of the teams in the top 10, none of them have the same restricteds. So while the Calyrex Shadow Zamazenta is still the most common, we see just from this tournament alone that in the top 10, there were no other duplicate restricted combos, or restricted pairings, I should say, right? So if you just look at that, all of them are different. And then the 2 that got 1 and 2 had Terapagos on it. So this one is a one with Regieleki. So this is literally a Sword and Shield team. That's really cool because this player, he may have played in Sword and Shield, and at some point he used this team. Dynamax Calyrex Shadow next to Clefairy was always a really fun strategy because Clefairy just protected it, and Calyrex Shadow with the extra bulk it got from Dynamaxing was really hard to deal with Refrain Guard, right? Unless you were hitting it with a dark or ghost type attack, a lot of the times you weren't knocking it out, and it was just knocking you out in return with like Max Phantasm and stuff like that. And setting up his own Psychic Terrain, it would run like Expanding Force, set up his own Psychic Terrain with Max Mindstorm, and then come back and then click Expanding Forces in its own terrain that is set. So that was really cool. Regieleki, it used to be like, this would be Focus Sash though, or yeah, Focus Sash, and then Regieleki would be Life Orb, and then Life Orb, Dynamax, Max Lightning. Even the second time that you use it after you use it the first time and set up Electric Terrain, it just one-shot everything in Sword and Shield that that didn't resist it, and if you did resist it, you still took like 80-70% of your health, right? So Landers was a huge counter into that, but then Landers didn't really deal well with the other team, right? And the only difference is that you saw Zacian in this slot right here instead of the Zamazenta, because Zamazenta was completely irrelevant in Sword and Shield. Let's be honest, it couldn't Dynamax, so it couldn't take advantage of the gimmick. Behemoth Bash, while it was effective, you really rather play Zamazenta more defensive, and Zamazenta also didn't get body press in Gen 8, so it was really crippled to not have the tools that it has to succeed in the current formats. And then we already know Cineworld Rillaboom and what they do with the Flurry, so it was a really cool and really unique set. So that was really interesting for me, and it's really cool to see like a kind of throwback to that with swapping just changing out Zacian for Zamazenta, because Zamazenta is considered the better dog in this generation. All right, so for our last team, we have the Zacian Miraidon team. We knew that we were gonna see these teams, so it looks like my opponent, I mean, not my opponent, this player, I'm so used to saying that, this player chose to drop the Whimsicott for the Zacian, right? Usually a lot of the times you'll see, like I made a similar team like this with Zacian Miraidon, but I dropped the Urshifu for the Zacian, right? Because I kind of still wanted the Tailwind. But this is really cool. Fairy Terra Swords Dance. Fairy Terra +3 Play Rough. I don't see anything that can switch into that, right? Then you still got Redirection with this right here. And you got Fake Out right here, so you can set up your stances. I really would like to see Whimsicott here. I think that Calyrex Shadow, while you can set up Swords Dance, it just outspeeds you. Plus, like Booster Energy Flutter Mane, dropping your speed, can make it pretty difficult for this Zacian to thrive, right? You see it went 5-2. I do think that if he had that speed control, he might have had a lot more success, as well as Whimsicott pressuring things with Encore, which getting Encored in front of a Zacian, and then you can't really like protect in front of it, it's just really hard to deal with, right? And you think this set, it doesn't have Sacred Sword, so you think it'll be weak to Steel types. Once you get to like +3, +5, like Zacian and Behemoth Blade is still, cutting through Steel types, and Miraidon does good damage into Steel types. Iron Hands can hit Steel types, which Steel types not even that common, right? But Iron Hands can Drain Punch down many Steel Terrors, and Ivy Cudgel also hits them for super effective damage. So, so you could have the Whimsicott hero over that slot, but this team looks really fun. Like I said, I just think it needs a speed control. But that's gonna be it for these top 10 teams in this tournament. Let's see if there's another big tournament with Regulation I. Just want to see another winner go through another winning team. This one, Spear Pillar, is this a Reg I team tournament? Nope, this is still Regulation G. Oh, it's prep for Atlanta. So Atlanta is going to be Regulation G still. I'm actually in Atlanta, so I'm going to actually be at that regional. So it's going to be really fun to see everyone there and see how things go. I look forward to it. But here, 8 players. Let's see. There hasn't really been another really big Regulation I tournament. I guess this was the next biggest one, and Zamazenta Calyrex Shadow won that one, right? But it's a different team. Like the ones we looked at earlier, they're not the same as this one. So, and there's another Swordfish, different variant. You got the Serena to block. Is that Twist Scarf Kyogre? Oh, it's leftovers. But you got Serena to block priority from like Raging Bolt and Rillaboom, so it's really cool. Kyogre really needs like Serena, Fergraph, or Bruxus with those abilities, or even Indeedee to block those priority moves. And Kyogre is really hard to deal with from that aspect. But another Swords Dance Zacian with Terra Dragon. Interesting. So this is a cool team too. But that's gonna be it for this video, guys. If you guys like this type of content, leave a like, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Like I told you guys, this page is really good for tournaments in case you want to practice and get into like those best of 3s and prep yourself for regionals. As you see, like these tournaments literally say Atlanta Prep, and that's what this website is for. So like again, it is play.limitlesstcg.com. So if you guys want to check that out, there's the link right up there, and you can just type it into your browser. But that's gonna be it for this video. Let me know what you guys think with a comment below about Regulation I, and I will catch you in the next one. Stay tuned, more new videos soon. Deuces.